Hello, I'm Deborah from Deborah Dell's Craft Room. Today I'm making a video on how to make paper beads so that you can string your prosperity string of hens with paper beads. Fancy beads. They're just going to be long, pointy beads. Some of them might be a little smaller, a little shorter. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to show you how to do is to cut paper. Cut the paper you need for the beads. I'm using cardstock. You can use regular paper if you want, but the beads are going to be much smaller, narrower, and just thinner. So, okay, the first thing I do is I get a piece of cardstock, and I want the beads to be kind of thick, so I'm using the long end of an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. Now I am putting the point on the very edge up here at the top, and I am making a width at the bottom. Let me cut it and I'll show you what I've just done. Yeah, it's wide here and narrow and pointed here on one end. To do that, you have to angle the paper so that you get that angle on it. But then the second one you cut, you just slide it over, push it up against this thing here, and have the pointed end down here, and you cut again. You can do this with scissors and rulers, but this guillotine cutter is much more efficient. Okay, again, I'm going to, let's see if I can get that so it's a little more, there we go. All right, the beads, if you do this the way I'm doing it without marking the paper, there'll be different sizes, but okay, now here we go. Another one. This is right on the edge of the cutting piece, and this one is about an inch or a little less than an inch. Okay, here we go. And then the next one, you put that edge piece down. I'll do that here. Let me see. The next piece, you put that edge, the point, right at the cutting line of the guillotine, and slide it over a little bit if it's not right on the point, and then make another cut. I'm going to do a few more of these so that I have them for showing you how to roll the beads. Pointed end up here, on the very edge, guillotine cutter down here, long thin piece. Next again. Okay, I have a few cut. Now what I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you something. If you were to see, this has got a right angle here. Right here is a right angle, and this is not a right angle here. If you were to start rolling this, it would be flat on one side and angled on the other side. And you want the angle to be on both sides. See? So what I do next is I take this piece and I set it on the guillotine cutter, and I set this point on a line. Let's see what we got here. Okay, on a point on the cutter over here. It's exactly on this point. And then this, I split the difference. Let me see, I'll get my little stick here. There's the same amount of space here as here on these two lines. And then you go like that, and you cut this piece off the bottom. See, it's wider at one end than the other. And then you have a no longer right triangle. So I'm going to do that again, show you again. Actually, I'm going to cut a really wide piece so that you can see it better. Okay. All right. Okay, here we go. Right triangle. We don't like that. Unless you want to make a Christmas tree or something, you can make a Christmas tree if there's a right triangle. Okay, now here we go. Here's this way up here on that point, and at some point down here, this is covering up the lines here because it's so wide, but at this point here, make them even the best you can. And then, with only a little bit hanging off the edge, cut it, and you can see how one side is wider than the other, and you've turned this right triangle into an isosceles triangle. I think that's what they're called. Okay, so I'm going to do a few more. Here's one right here. Split the difference down here, put the point of the cut here, and cut it. That one might have already been done. Okay, here's another one. I'm going to bring that camera over to exactly here. I don't know if you can see it or not. See how that's split there? And see how that is right on the point? Oh, it's a little curly there, but okay. And then, once it's split right, you cut it. And then you get a piece of paper that's a little wider on one end than the other, which makes this work. Okay. I'll do another. Okay. Alrighty, there it is. Standing up straight. Now I'll show you one that's not cut and how it stands up crooked. You see that? First thing I do after I cut the strip is I cut the ends off right down here. I make a little flat spot. That way when you roll it, you don't have a little tiny piece of paper sticking out. Just a little cut. Makes the first part of the roll be flat. Okay, now I take this bamboo skewer and I put the paper on the skewer and I put my thumb on it and I pull. And first it softens up the paper so it's easier to roll because this is cardstock. And it also gets you started with the curl down here. I straighten this part back up here because I don't want it to be in my way while I'm rolling. Now, this takes some practice and some patience. So, the first thing I do is I put the piece onto the bamboo skewer right at the very edge of it and I start to turn it. Okay, so now I'm turning and turning. And you get to a point where, I don't know if you can see this, that the piece of the paper is starting to become smaller and it's starting to decrease so that you have it comes to a point. See, can you see that? And when you're turning, you want to keep that paper. Let me start again, because it slipped out of my hand. You got to keep a really firm hold on this while you're doing it, mostly because it's cardstock. Might be easier to start with paper. Okay, so it's getting smaller, and you want to keep these little spaces as it's getting smaller equal on each side. So you turn it, and you see it's still the same distance on each side from the last turn. Okay. I haven't made a paper bead in quite a while, so I'm looking like I'm fumbling, but there you go. You see that? How it's starting to go down, smaller and smaller. Okay, keep rolling. I'm going back. My hands must be dry or something. Okay. Alrighty. It's easier to roll once it's been rolled once because it's, you know, it's already bent that way. Okay, here we go. Now, I'm going to keep on rolling. You see how it's making these points on each end? Roll, roll some more, and keep rolling, making sure that those spaces are equidistant. And you get to the end, you got this little point here, and then you get out your glue. I use white glue. And you put the white glue on the end like that. And white glue dries clear and leaves a little bit of a finish, so I kind of use white glue for two reasons. Okay, so there it is, the white glue's on there, and you roll and it starts to come out onto your finger. And I just keep, okay, now I got the whole thing rolled, and I'm going to keep on going until all of that glue is spread out onto the bead. Holds the pieces in place, puts a nice little finish on it. Of course, if you want it to be more finished, you can put some, you know, varnish or polyurethane or something on it. And there you go. There's the bead. And you slide it off. Set it down on something that's not paper, because you don't want it to stick to paper. I have a vinyl tablecloth here. Okay, let's see what I have here now. Okay, I'm going to do another. Put your thumb on top of the paper like this and pull. It's sort of like when you're doing curling ribbon, when you're wrapping gifts. Okay, it breaks the fibers of the paper so that they're easier to roll. I'm going to go backwards with this so that it's straight. Yeah, there you go. Okay, again, put the right on the edge of the paper, and you do a turn and catch that paper in there. And then you start rolling, making sure that it's rolling the same on each side. I'm going to go a little ways before I show you. Okay, you see it's starting to go in. The next one I'm going to do wrong so you can see what it looks like when you're doing it wrong. But this one is going pretty well so far, so these are just basic beads. No fanciness to them, no special colors or anything. It's just to make the beads for the Prosperity String of Hens. I can show you some other ones too, in case you want to use them, but some people use magazine paper. Makes really pretty beads. They dip them a whole bunch of times in some varnish, and okay, you see how that's looking? It's going down the same on each side. Okay, now I got it to the end again, and I'm going to put some glue on the end. You don't have to be delicate with this glue because you want to put it all over the whole thing. There we go, see? And then you start rolling it, and the glue oozes out of the sides, and then becomes a finish for your bead. This part is kind of fun, really. So, okay. Alrighty, there you go. Here's the bead. Slide it off. Roll the glue off your finger. Get another one. Well, this one I'm going to do wrong. Let's see, that one's okay. All right, I'm going to do this one wrong so you can see what happens. Okay. Of course, the thumb on the paper, slide it, and I'm going to go backwards on this and slide it the other way so it straightens the paper out, because you really just want it to break the fibers of the paper down a little. Okay, there we go. Okay, now put this on here like this and roll, and all of a sudden, you know, it starts to go off to the side a little, like this. And first of all, it does, oops, it's hard to do it wrong. Okay, I'm going to get it down a little bit ways before okay. All right, see how that is? It's going down on one side, and it's, you know, oh, you know what I've been forgetting to do? I've been forgetting to cut them all. Okay. All right, this one is going to be wrong, and I'll show it to you when it's done. And darn it. Okay, get back up there. Okay, you see how it's wider on one side than the other? That's wrong. And it won't look good when it's done. Okay, here again. It's decreasing here, but it's kind of lumpy there. Here it is. So you keep going, and I'm going to finish this bead and show you the difference between the two beads when you're not careful with the equidistant on each side thing. Here we go. I'm not going to put lots of stuff on this. Okay. All right, here we go. All right. All right, now look carefully at that bead. This side is, you know, got a lump in it over here. And it's just not good. Let me show you next to the other one. See, can you see the difference? Let me see. I'll put them up like this. See the difference in these two beads? You want them to go smooth. This one does not do that. So that's the importance of keeping these. I'm going to get my skewer to show you. Keeping these the same on each side. And keep getting out of the camera here. Okay. All right, now I'm going to do another one. I'm going to cut another. And although I am forgetting, you see? Okay, now I've been forgetting to do those cuts on the side that I did the first time, but I'll show you. I'm going to leave one side done and one side not done. Let me see this one here. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see. You see how this has a little bit of paper sticking up here? That's because I didn't do that cut. And I'll be able to show that to you in a second here. Alright, so you see how that one side is cut flat and the other one isn't? We'll see what happens when you do that. Pinch and roll first. Okay. Trying to get it even on each side. It's not really working, but let me see. Okay. All right. If it starts to go off so that they're not the same, you can push a little bit on one side or the other, depending on which way you want it to go. And it can straighten up sometimes. Sometimes it won't. You have to start again, but turning. I got this. Oh, almost too far. Here we go. All right, now I'm going to roll this on. I didn't put as much glue on. Okay, and now I'm going to show you the difference in the two ends of this this bead. Okay, this bead here on one side has a nice flat end. This bead here has a little thing sticking out, the very point of the bead sticking out, and this is the side we did not cut. So that's what happens, and it can damage the bead. You know, you put it on something and it damages the bead. Makes it look a little, I don't know, broken. So anyway, I'm going to cut that little piece off and show it to you. See if I can't even do that. It's okay. Well, these are the little pieces that, here's one right here. Can you see that? Probably not. Maybe I'll bring it back a little bit. Here we go. Nope, forget it. Anyway, cut those ends and you'll have nice beads with okay, now I'm going to do another. Let's see what we got here. Split the difference, remember. All right. going to show you a couple smaller beads and a tube bead before this video ends. Okay, here we go. Turning, turning. As soon as you see that it's going off one side or the other, fix it. Just slide it over before it gets buried under any more layers of the bead, because you don't want that. Sometimes you get started on these beads and you just keep making them. I was teaching people how to make the beads one time at a meetup, and I was cutting the paper for everyone, and they were making beads, and I didn't get to make a single bead all day. So I took all my paper into the other room and cut a zillion beads, cut a zillion pieces of paper, and for the next, I don't know how long, I made 1,500 beads before I got sick of it, and I stopped. Some people think something's wrong with me. Okay, here we go. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Bead the glue squishing out. Okay. Okay, there you go. Is that down? Yes, that's down. Alrighty, another bead. Okay, now I'm going to cut some, use a different color. Now I'm going to cut some beads, tube beads. I have an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper here, and I'm going to make a 3/8 inch bead. So you just slide the paper over to 3/8, make a cut. I'm going to do a couple of them. These are the easiest beads because they don't have the point, they just are beads, tubes. Get my bamboo skewer. Okay, you do the same thing with the stick, curling the edges. Okay, now this time you do the same thing. You start. I maybe should have made these a 1/2 inch, but it's done. Okay, you can just roll and roll and roll. And you don't have to keep it, you know, I mean, you have to keep it somewhat straight on there, but otherwise it'll be loose when you're done. But you just roll and roll and roll until you know it's as thick as you want. I'm going to just do this whole thing, this whole strip of paper. Okay. Oh, this glue. There we go. All right. And you pull it off before it's done. Pinch the ends so it's flat on both sides. Squeeze that glue right in there to the end. And there you have it, a tube bead. I normally, if I was making a tube bead, I would probably make it a little bit wider and not quite as thick. But that's how you make it. And the reason it's so easy is because the end, you just take it off and squeeze it so it's flat on both ends, and it's done. If you wanted to make a necklace or something out of these, you could make a tube bead and put a round glass bead, and it would set right in that hole. And And there you have it. Okay, now I'm going to make a different bead. This one is going to be a really narrow bead. Or I mean a short bead, not narrow, short. Okay, you just don't bring this bottom end over quite as far. And you do the same thing. Find the center. Split the difference. You can see how much distance is on each side of that. Quite a bit. Make it straight. Just take a little bit off the ends of this one. Of course, on the tube bead, you don't have to do this. Okay. So, there you go, a little bit off the ends. And curl it. Okay, and start. Okay, just a second, I can get control of this and I'll show it to you. Now it's going to not have as big an angle on this one as the other ones do. You see how the decline is so much shorter? Or the incline? Depends on how you look at it. Okay, I'm going to keep on going. There are a lot of videos online for paper beads, really fancy ones. And I've done some of them. They're a lot of fun. But these are for my chickens, so you might not want to be going crazy with fancy beads when your chickens are so cute. Okay, so here we go. Getting to the end. Glue. Come on, glue. Out you go. There you go. Okay. There you go. A little short bead. And I'll show you the difference between the wide bead and the short bead. This one gives the illusion of, you know, of narrowness because it's so long, and then this one is short. They're both, at this center point, they're both the same diameter because of the, let me put this up, because of the length of the paper. And you can even do this. Put one on each end for the in-between beads instead of using glass beads. Let me show you the chickens that I have already done. These have to go back up on my door. But what I did was I tried to match the beads to the chicken. It was on each side of the chickens. Like this one's green, and then there's a blue and a bluish purple. This one, I guess I didn't do that right. I didn't use that right color. And then more purple, different purples. Up here, I use light green, and then yellow, and then a darker yellow, and kind of a creamy orange color, and then, Okay, and then red here. This is coming loose. I don't know why. Anyway, that is, and it's, you know, instead of putting, I put metal beads in this one in between. You could put, where are those beads I just did? Oh, here they are. They're on the stick. You could put, say you had a pink chicken, and then you put the same color through, or whatever you like, and then you had a blue chicken down here. You could put a blue bead, and then another, and then the chicken, and then one of these, and whatever color you want. Okay, now I'm going to show you on the chicken I made the other day how to string the chickens. Hang on just a second. Okay, you'll want to use a nice heavy thread for stringing the chicken. I'm only going to string one chicken. So, okay, I have this really long needle. This is actually a tatting needle, but I use it for stringing chickens because it's nice and long. And I'm going to stick a, okay. Okie dokie. Tie a knot on the end. And I'm going to put, I'm going to make this real plain because I don't have enough. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I have some beads here. I do. I have some beads that I've made before. Okay, little ones. And a couple of big ones. See, I have my little bin of beads that I use for my chickens. Okay, now let me see what I got here. Okay. Okay. What I do usually is I make an ornament hook like this one. And I don't have any wire out here, so I'm going to just wing it. And I'm going to tie this piece of, I'm going to do a lark's head knot on this kind of thing, chopstick on there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little red bead, a green bead, another little red bead first. That'll be the top. And I'm going to get some more of these little red beads out so that I can do the other side of the chicken. Okay. Then what you do, I went through the back of the chicken, about a quarter of an inch back from his comb, went straight down and came out of the breast area. Okay. Now, I'm going to put another red bead on, another green bead, and another red bead. Okay. And there you have how to hang a chicken. Through the center of the belly, see? And through the center of the back. Now, I don't have any more bells. I used them all up on all my chickens. But you would hang a bell on there, tie a knot, and hang a bell, and then you will have this. Except for the one you have will have paper beads, or you can use glass beads, whatever you like. But I think paper beads are some kind of a tradition or something with these things. I'm not sure. But that's what my sister-in-law told me, that she sees them in the store with paper beads on them. So, and you hang that bell on the bottom, and you get yourself a prosperity chicken. Put a whole bunch of them. You just keep going with until you get to the bottom, and then put the bell on the very bottom. Okay. That's it. See how this one looks? String, 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 string. Okay. They're fun and they're addicting, so you might just forget all about those chickens while you're making necklaces or something. You could even string up enough of them to put around your Christmas tree. Thank you very much for watching my video. Please subscribe to my channel and click on the bell so that you get notified of future videos. I have been working on a face mask and I think I finally have it right. Who knows how safe they are, but I'll be doing that one later on. Thanks so much. Bye-bye now.